It is quite warm today, and I don't want to turn on the air conditioner because I have a wall AC unit and or a window AC unit, I guess is what you'd call it, and I feel like it'll make way too much noise. So I'm just gonna have to be hot for a little bit. Um, trying to do trying to do a bit longer, some more longer content, I should say. And something I've done a couple of videos on, a couple of shorts on, is remembering that we are both the adult and the child when we're taking care of ourselves. So, when you're a kid, you have your parents or other guardians, ideally or hopefully, who take care of you and make sure you have the things that you need and make sure that you're having the experiences that you need to have, and just making sure that you're being well cared for. And when we become adults, I think a lot of us struggle with continuing that care need. Like, we have a hard time taking care of ourselves. And when I think of time management, I think of that. I think of the struggle that we sometimes have with taking care of ourselves now that we are both the parent and the child. So we are the person who needs the caretaking, and we are also the person who's providing the caretaking for ourselves. And I was talking with one of my siblings about this, and we were laughing because I was saying, how wild is it that we were specifically talking about meal prepping. We were talking about meal prepping and, eating the right kinds of foods and just things in that general realm. And I was saying, how wild is it that we literally think as adults that we can just eat whatever we want? How childish does that sound? Like, that is something you would hear a kid say. I want candy, I want cookies, I want cake, I want, French fries, I want cheeseburgers, whatever it is. There's all these things that we want, and we get really upset when we can't have it, depending on how we've been raised. But for many of us, we have big feelings about not being able to have the thing that we want. And so as adults, I just kind of twisted it and imagined myself, like hearing myself say, I don't eat well. I don't eat as well as I should because I only want to eat things that taste yummy and I really like. Like, is that just me? It just sounds very childlike. Like, I'm only going to do the things that I want to do. I'm only going to eat the foods that I want to eat and that tastes good to me, even if I know that I also need to eat things that I maybe don't care for as much. And why do I think that every meal is going to be something just exquisite and beautiful and lovely and all the things that, I want to have? And then my brain was like, oh my gosh, for some people back in the day, back in olden times, having fruit was the treat. That apples were in season was a thing, that you could get a mango was a thing. And it was a treat. And for us, we're just kind of used to having what we want, when we want, how we want it, where we want it. And it's not always in our best interest. I'm not saying, I try not to speak in absolutes, but I'm just thinking, generally speaking, as I'm processing through the thoughts that I was having, it feels like we create problems for ourselves sometimes because we are approaching our lives as if we are still children. I'm gonna have to sit with that a little bit more. I think there's more to that, but I hope you all are getting what I'm saying. That, like, we are the ones responsible for our own care and well-being, and we're not always gonna be able to do the fun thing. We're not always going to be able to have the super delicious, tasty treat that we want to have. And that is a good thing sometimes, because sometimes those things are not what our bodies need on a regular basis. Sometimes those are things that are meant to be treats and not a way of life. And And I'm sure there's so much more I can get into. I can feel my brain starting to go into a lot of directions with that. But for sake of this video, you are the parent and the child, and you are responsible for your own well-being and care. And sometimes that means that that we will have to do things that we don't like. Like when we had to go to bed when we were 6 or 7 and we didn't want to go to bed. We wanted to stay up. Or I don't know how many of you went through the I don't want to take a bath phase. And it's like, you need to take a bath. I'm sorry. You know, there are adult versions of those things and just human versions of those things that remain well into adulthood. So, yeah, be the adult and the child and all the things. And I'll come back with another video when I come back with one. I have lots of shorts about time management, mindfulness, and kind of goal setting resources, so please check those out. And if you're looking for an accountability group, I have one of those too, and that information should be in the description box. All right, take good care. Bye.